has struggled all season up until today with hitting elite pitching.
Yeah.
What changed today?
Just a good work week. A good work week. I think having the confidence that we were really good offensively in the Big Ten last year, and kind of when the page turns, there's something about I think having done it before, and then you're home for the last 10 days or so, and you're able to program a guy in the spin ball, and you're able to just get 1,000 at bats off of him. And I think that's the big thing that I saw today was just the work, and then we were able to really force him into the strike zone. And then when we got pitches in the strike zone, we hit him hard. And I know it sounds cliche, but the group I think is they're a competitive group and they're a focus group for the most part. I think sometimes it's like they're better when your back's against the wall and it's like, okay, well, Big Ten has started now, like it's time for us to go. And like I was kind of joking, what little hair I have left, it makes the rest of it want to fall out. But we did it today, and we were really good. We were just really well prepared, and the guys executed the plan. And then, falling behind 6-0, you have no room for error. Now you really have to focus, and knowing that we're offensive enough and prepared enough. Today was a good day to hit with the wind blowing out, and knowing that we're going to have a chance to get back in the game. I think they just came out and didn't give away a single at bat. Really, the 6th inning we were kind of sloppy in the 6th inning. Besides that, wasn't giving you away.
Levy and Kraft gave you 8 innings. How big was that today? As much as the offense, Levy struggled, was finally fantastic today, like you expected, and then 4 more from Kraft, you can save the pen.
Yeah. I was. I gave it to Gabe Levy, the player of the game, him and Tibbetts. But Gabe has had to adjust to this level, right? To being here, and he's worked his way through it. And what you try to do with the pen and the offense, each week you try to add one guy to the pen. Try to add one guy to the offense. So on our practice days we're doing live at bats, and Gabe's throwing and working, and he's had to find his way to navigate through, and he did an incredible job today. And I don't want to downplay Crafty. We've all kind of come to expect Ryan to be really good. He walked some guys and wasn't as sharp, but he managed, right? Ryan does always a great job of managing, but what Gabe Levy did today is what I think really good teams do, is they add players throughout the course of the year that maybe didn't start the way that they would have liked to. And I think it just takes time, especially some of the transfers, just time to adjust and find their niche and find their role. And he was awesome. He gave us a chance. We had Yoho playing catch. We really didn't want to use him, but he gave us a chance to not use Yoho today and to go into tomorrow in a decent position, right? As good as you can be when you're going to play 18 innings in one day and you threw your closer 4 innings. But we're going to be in a decent spot.
Did you guys purposely stack the order left, right to keep the OSU staff off balance?
Yeah. Well, he's really good. I mean, that kid's really good. He's got great numbers. He's beat some really good teams. When you go like that, Carl and I have talked about it earlier, and he was really astute with this point of early in the season you stack lefties and righties to try to get that guy out of the game as fast as you can. But when you go into a game like this, the guy's got 100, 115 pitches to work with. So now I want to make him as uncomfortable as possible. And so, having to land the breaking ball, so he's away to both guys. So having to land the breaking ball away to lefties and then away to righties, and having to do it in succession is really hard. And so, especially as you get tired a little bit, if you put some pressure on him, you saw him, walk a few guys, hit a few hit by pitches. We kind of thought he would hang a few sliders in on lefties, and he did, and he hit a few guys in the back foot. If we would kind of get on the plate a little bit and go right, left, and force him to just have to change his visual every single guy. And the good thing for our lineup, and the guys done a good job of handling it, is you could start at the top and work your way down, or you could start at the bottom and work your way up. It's like if you go 9-1, that would make sense with our lineup. Like I think you could look at it like, yeah, that makes sense. Those guys could hit in those spots. And if you go 1-9, that would make sense. So it's more about just trying to put us in a position, in an advantage position, and make those guys have to change their eyes back to back to back. And we executed the plan really well. Did a great job.
When Ohio State went up 6-0, was there anybody in the dugout that you can sort of particularly hear that was keeping up the energy?
In the first, when it was obviously not going the way we had planned, I kind of looked over at Denton and said, well, this isn't exactly how I had it drawn up in my mind. But the players were fine. They were kind of quiet. We just kind of said we just have to be the same guys that we came when the position guys come back in. And when they came in, they were fine. The position guys, you look on their face, was fine. And I think, and again, I want us to score 15 runs a game and blow everybody out. But I think being in so many of those close games and having to come from behind, it was just kind of like, hey, here it is again. Like, we've done this 6 times in the last 10 games. We're fine, go and do it. And then when Gabe came in, and that was the second inning, obviously they didn't score again, so it was like the second and third where you go 0-0 quick innings. It was like, okay, and you could kind of feel the life come back into the group a little bit. And then once we offensively we start to go and we get close, and I think, you know, we're starting to talk about, okay, when do we go to Crafty, right? When do we get to like that main group of guys again? And once we came back, and it was like, hey, if we get it within 1 or 2, we're going to Crafty. I don't care if we're down. Like, we're on this guy. They're going to have to go to their pin. I feel good about where we're at with their pin, and so get Crafty up. And I think, you know, the buzz in the dugout a little bit is like, oh, Crafty's getting around. So if Crafty's getting around, then we're going to have a good run here, and that means the coaches think we're going to win the game. And I think that matters. And again, we have a lot of guys that are doing a good job, and we had several guys that were up. I felt really good about Ethan Phillips. I thought that was going to be a good matchup for him. I thought Aiden Decapeti was going to be fine in that matchup, in that situation. And then at the end there, I know we gave a couple 2-strike hits with Vega, but Vega's stuff was good. We just got to do a better job with 2 strikes of executing, but he was in a 1-2 count, I think twice in 2 singles. But you know, I feel good about those guys. I know it's a little bit unorthodox the way that we've managed the staff, but it's like, if you have guys that have good stuff and you can get them in for 2-3 innings at a time and keep moving them, as long as everybody comes in and attacks and we take care of the ball, then we can kind of essentially create a player with the starter, right? And it's hard to game plan. Like, how do you game plan for, hey, these 9 guys might throw on Friday and Sunday, and then you stack Sennard in the middle, and he's going to give you a little bit of breather. Now this week's different because you got 3 games in 24 hours, but typically he should be able to give you some length on the backside. And so it's a tough scout, as long as everybody does their job, which after the first, magnificent job on the mound.
It just feel like sweet revenge to have these guys you can stack, because last year you would jump out to these big leads sometimes and you couldn't hold it with the pen. So does it feel like sweet revenge to get behind today and then have the pen that can, you know, keep you in a game?
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that experience on my worst enemy. So I don't know if it's necessarily sweet revenge. It's you live and learn, and being a young coach, and you learn and adjust, and you make sure you don't make the same mistakes twice. And obviously, I wasn't perfect. You know, the draft obviously impacted us a ton in the shortened season the year before. So for those guys' development was a little bit stifled. But you live and you learn, and you make adjustments. And we've done a really good job. You know, knock on wood, done a really good job of learning how to manage how we're gonna pitch. And as those young guys grow up, then I think we'll get some length in our starters. I think we'll get some length. They just got to grow up and do it. But yeah, it's a heck of a lot nicer feeling to look at the lineup card and be like, hey, there's 10 guys that we could pitch right now. Which one do you want? And I think they're all going to give us a chance to win this game. And that's by design, but it also is we're an incumbent upon the young man to go out there and then to execute that plan, because the best laid plans often go awry. So they have to go and do their job, which they've done a wonderful job of. And they're not selfish. You know, they're invested into the plan, and they've brought it to life and done a really nice job.
Is there anything you have to do as a coach to keep your offense locked in when you switch mentalities from chasing a score to now wanting to put more onto a score?
That's an awesome question. I've done a lot of different things, and you know, I'll keep working at it. You know, I go back to this. I know I've said it like 5 times. I just think being home is such a different level of preparation. If you can come in and hit for 3 hours today, you can turn the spin ball on and see it for 3 hours before. When you're on the road for a month straight, it's just hard. It's just hard to get that level of work in, and I think those guys get better as they do the work. You know, when you go into a season, I think expectation can be really damaging as far as, well, it's just going to happen because we've done it, and I think you forget the details that led to the big inning. It's the 2-strike single the other way in the 4-hole. It's the full count walk where you lay off a full count breaking ball. It's, you know, work. You get to a leverage count and you stay on a double the other way. It's the little things. It's not, they don't just spot 2 runners and you hit a 3-run homer and everybody just gets a dog pile. You have to do the minuscule details to get to a position to even have an opportunity to have a big inning. And that was the thing early on, was like, we're not taking care of the little things that allow us to do it. And it doesn't matter how talented we are, it doesn't matter how many prospects we have, it doesn't matter what we've done in the past. You have to be willing to do the work every single inning. And until we do the work, and until we are willing to 1 through 9 have the approach that we're supposed to have, then we won't have opportunities to have those big innings. And you could see it in spurts where it's like we would go and then we would trail off and then go. And I think a lot of it's dealing with expectation, dealing with, outside, your perception of outside pressure. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to be this guy. You're not supposed to be anything but a good kid who works really hard and does his job. That's what you're supposed to do. And when you do that, you give yourself a chance to have success. And then you give your team a chance to have success. I tell the guys the standard for the program is you do the best job that you can every day to be the best player you can be, to help the team be the best that it can be, whatever that is. If that's Gabe Levy didn't wake up today thinking I'm coming into the game with the bases loaded in the first inning, but that was your job today. Just do the best you can. Just try to get strike one. How many times today did we get in a 2-strike count and battle, flip a ball, the other way over a shortstop's head, just compete with 2 strikes. Then you get into leverage counts because you worked, and then you hammer a ball and you hammer a home run. And I think that's the thing that you kind of see the gear shift is like, yeah, you're right. That's how it has to be. And I want them to just go be you. You know how to do it. Just go do it. I don't want to be the guy in the dugout that's, maybe I should have bunted in the 6th inning, but it's like, they've done such a good job. I just trust them. And sometimes that's, my downfall too, but I just trust them to know what to do and know how to do it. So I think once you get a taste of it again, it's like, yeah, I like that. I want to do that again. So yeah, I told them to go and enjoy this. You have to take a moment to enjoy it and celebrate it. But then you got to get up and it scores 0-0. And someone's going to win the series tomorrow and someone's going to lose series tomorrow. We haven't won a series yet. And so we have to wake up tomorrow with that same intent and that same fire and make it a street fight.
Two more. The team has experience with comeback victories, but sort of above that, what are the characteristics amongst players on the team that make them so good with their backs against the wall?
Great parents, great families. They've worked really hard. And so I think he tried really hard to recruit good kids and good families that care about the work and not just about do I get flashy things? Do I get the how much stuff do we get? We get great stuff. We have great facilities, but it starts with high character people, and then when you have high character people, and you try to put a great plan together, and then you try to help them to create an identity and a focus, and you harden them. And you have to be hard on them. You have to push them. You have to coach them. You have to make them uncomfortable. Your practices can't be laissez-faire. You can't be front toss and feel good. Like, you got to kick their butt on the spin ball. You got to kick their butt when I'm throwing to them. And I think you begin to build, if you have high character people, you begin to build a culture and an identity of toughness. And then as a coaching staff, you can't just value the outcome. Hey, we played poorly today, but we won, so it's all fine. No, it's not fine. We didn't make good decisions. When we're lucky we won, but we didn't make good decisions. Or we played poor, or we played really well, we did everything right, and sometimes baseball is a silly game, and you just line out 10 times. And so as a coaching staff, you can't put it on the outcome. You got to put it on the process and the work that you do, and you keep going back to that and back to that and back to that. And I think eventually, when you have good kids from good families that have worked really hard, and you as a coach value the process and the work, and then when okay, listen, we're down by 2 in the 8th. It's the same position we've been in every single day. Just do your job. Can you get to a leverage count? Can you hit the ball the other way? Can you extend the inning? Whatever it is, right? And then I think they're the one that do it. I think it's kids from great stock and great families, and you try your best to put a good plan together for them.
The middle infield executed a double play today, and that's not something you've done a ton of this year.
Right.
So what's going on with that? How are they improving?
Part of it is keeping them in the flow of the game. The first inning we have a slam dunk double play ball, we don't execute it. We've also walked 5 guys in a row, and you're trying to kind of get your rhythm to it. Philip and Tyler are both really talented players. You just gotta go play. Just trust. Like, I watched us turn double plays. That was one of our off-season focuses, believe it or not. But you just got to go do it in the course of a game until you get good at it. You got to go play loose and fast. I think sometimes when you, as a coach, you focus on it a ton, and then you get, it's a priority for you, and then you get in a moment where here it is, and it's like, oh no, don't mess it up because we practice it so much, and Coach Mercer's going to use it in our post-game notes, and so they said to go play, just go play, just go do it, and you could see the double play that we turned. I think it was Kern that hit the ball off Crafty right to Cerny. that's what it looks like in practice. Like that poetic, that great athleticism, great feed, comes across the bag like Rafael Fakal, you know. It looks great, right? It looks great. And that's what I see in practice. And so, you know, when we don't see that in the game, you know, I obviously get frustrated too. It's like I've watched us do this 1,000 times. So anytime that you place a priority on something, then the players sometimes will place a little bit of stress on it. I think that's all it is. It just got to do it. Just got to do it until you can do it really well. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Thank you.
Brock Tibbetts.
Brock, you guys obviously, you know, the spotted OSU six runs to start off with, but right off the bat, you guys came out and attacked, and you in particular had RBIs in each of your first 3 at bats. So can you describe just what happened? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, we had a good plan going in. We had a good scouting report on their starter. He's a really good pitcher. He's had a lot of success this year. And, you know, we had a plan going in, and we executed the plan really well. So it was just sticking to that, you know, getting his fastball up and being able to drive it the other way, seeing his off-speed pitches for strikes, and just keep the train moving.
Do you and the team feel any more pressure trying to come back from 6 runs down? You've obviously done it several times, but is there more pressure doing that than if you're starting it even at like 0-0?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, our offense has done really well this year, and our pitching staff has kept us in a lot of games. So I mean, that 6th spot in the first inning, we all just kind of took a deep breath, and you know, we hadn't even gotten the plate yet, and you know, it just makes it a lot more fun because you know, the more you come back, the more energy there is, and you know, it's a pretty fun environment.
Was there any sort of group message among the offense as to how to beat their starter?
I mean, it was just kind of watching film on him, kind of preparing for him. We knew kind of what his pitches did, kind of what he was trying to do with each of his pitches, and just sticking with that plan and executing it.
Was there any sort of change in mindset or approach when you guys, A, started chasing a score, and then B, were starting to pile onto a score of your own?
It was just to keep the pressure on because, I mean, the Big Ten, there was no lead is safe. So, I mean, once we got up, you know, 10-6, a few runs like that, and, you know, a few hits can fall, especially with the wind blowing out 20 miles an hour, you know, bloop, and, you know, a ball that gets caught up in the jet stream, and then it's a 2-run game. So it was just kind of keeping the pressure on and kind of staying within ourselves.
Whitaker struggled with command a little bit early, and there was that mound visit where the entire infield went to go talk to him. What were you guys saying amongst each other in that conversation?
We were just telling him to kind of take a few deep breaths, you know, have some fun. Whitaker's really talented. He's putting a lot of work, and he's been throwing really well this year. So for him to kind of start the game like that was a little bit uncharacteristic, but we were just telling him to kind of try to settle down a little bit, you know, take a few deep breaths, let him know that we had his back, and just keep pushing forward because you can't change what's happened in the past. You know, it's all about the next pitch, one pitch at a time.
Mercer kind of alluded to it, but what's the energy like in the dugout when you guys look down in the bullpen and you see Ryan Kraft, who's been in a ton of high leverage situations? What's the energy like in the dugout when you see him warming up in the bullpen?
You know that he's always going to go out and compete. I mean, he's done it for us the whole year. He's been a solid guy to the bullpen. We've had several guys like that, but you know, his energy on the mound, his presence on the mound is kind of unmatched right now on our staff, and so. You know, when you see him coming in the game, you know that he's going to come in, he's going to throw strikes, he's going to compete for us, he's going to let the defense make plays for him. So we have a lot of confidence in all of our guys, but especially Ryan Kraft.
You've been pretty hot since you had to come out of that game after getting hit in the nose. So just kind of walk us through that whole process of, you know, having to take a few days off. Obviously the team was off in that time, but then be able to come back and do as well as you have since then.
I mean, it was just kind of trusting what the doctors were saying. You know, I got checked out Saturday, saw the doctor Sunday, Monday, and then they cleared me, and then I was good to go as long as I felt fine. And so, you know, it was just kind of trusting our training staff, trusting the doctors, and then, you know, it's just baseball from there. So, you know, maybe knocked a little sense into me.
Anything else?
There was a couple times in the game where specific players were showing lots of energy. You know, Pine on third base, Kraft with a strikeout. In a game where you're chasing sort of a lead, what does that do to the energy? How does that make you feel when you see your teammates behaving like that?
It just gives everyone so much confidence. I mean, when everyone is that engaged in the game, when everyone's fired up, it really just boosts everyone in the dugout, and you just feel like the whole team just feels unstoppable because you just feel like you're a freight train. No one can stop you. I mean, everyone feeds off the energy. You go to the plate, you have all the energy behind you. You go out into the field. Guys on the mound have so much confidence. Guys on defense have so much confidence. So it's a big thing.
Anything else? If not, thanks, Brock.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan, you have been used in very high leverage situations pretty much all season. Can you just talk about what it means to be the one carrying that kind of load?
No, it definitely feels good knowing that like coaches have trust in me and knowing I can go out there and compete and just kind of battling back and forth. Like I know that they have confidence in me and teammates have confidence in myself, so it's really important to me.
As much praise as the offense is going to get today, how big was both your Levy's outing and your outing to shut him out through 8 innings more or less after the 6 runs to keep this game close?
Yeah, no, it was big. It was big. It was good to see Gabe Levy go out there, give us a hell of a performance, and just went out there and competed.
When you stranded runners on the corners, kind of did like a 360 spin and a yell.
No, yeah.
What was sort of going on in your head?
I just relief to get out of the inning. It was sometimes when you don't have that one inning you don't want to have, and you get out of it, just a sigh of relief, and you know that you're going to let their next inning and do the same thing.
It was kind of mentioned earlier, but a lot of these high leverage situations have been different. Sometimes they've only needed you for an inning, sometimes they needed you for 4 days. What's your mindset when you go into the dugout and know that either that could be your last inning, or what's the conversation like when you're heading back out to the mound?
I think it's just always stay focused on going back in. You can't think about not coming out of the game or going back into the game. You just stay focused and go kind of inning by inning.
Did they tell you up front that they expected you to pitch multiple innings?
They just said to be ready. They didn't say anything about how many innings I would go, but they just said be ready. If you're rolling, you're rolling.
How comfortable does it make you feel as a pitcher when you see the offense kind of just come around and score, 3 runs here, 4 runs here? Where does that put your comfort level on the mound?
It definitely brings my confidence up a little bit, knowing that my offense is behind me and everything. So when they score runs, it gives boost confidence to go back out there and just shut them down.
Anything else?
Yes, just one last thing. You had obviously a couple of jams that you had to work yourself out of. What's kind of going through your mind when you're at that point of like, hey, I need to get an out right here to keep from scoring a run?
I think it's just staying confident and knowing that your teammates are there for you, behind you. So you throw a strike, they get hit, they're going to be there for you to make plays. I know Bobby Whalen, Devin Taylor had a nice double play. They were all there for me. So I think when you throw strikes and he gets hit and they make plays, it's just really comforting knowing that they're behind you.